I was born and raised in Azerbaijan, and I'm not from the capital. I'm from a very conservative city called Ganja, and I lived there almost until I was like 21, and then I got a scholarship, State Department scholarship, to study in the United States. And I think it was kind of weird because my family and my relatives and we have always lived in Ganja, and my father was very conservative man. He never let me even to go to study in Baku, in the capital. But a lot of things happened, and he just saw the sparkle inside me, and he agreed to let me to come to the United States. So I came first time 2004 and for a year exchange program. And I went to Pittsburgh, Chatham College. It was a women's college, and it was a great experience. And I did my undergrad 1 year in Pittsburgh. And after that, I went back to Azerbaijan. And I think that's my life absolutely changed after I came to study in the United States. I discovered myself. I think when I look at my life, I see myself like being born. Okay, when I was born, and I grew up, I went to school, and I got accepted to the university, and then I feel like I was born again when I returned back from the United States, because I was totally different person. I discovered a lot of things that I didn't know that I have it. So I was like, oh, I can do this. I can, I have these feelings, I have these thoughts. I was totally different person. And thank God I had a very supportive family. My father was the biggest figure in our family, and he was the role model. And he and my mom, if I didn't have their support, I would probably not achieved success that I have achieved today. They were just pushing me forward. They were like, you can do this, you can achieve whatever you want in your life. But at the same time, they were very nervous because the environment that I grew up, it was very controlling and very conservative environment. So I always felt like my parents were in between two environments, like letting me go forward and achieve my goal. And they were very proud of me. But when they turned back and they saw that all these relatives and neighbors, and they were concerned that, you're a girl and you're letting your daughter go to study in the United States by herself for a year. So this was a big risk. So when I think about my life, I'm like, okay, I feel like I was born twice. First time when I was born, the second time when I got my first international experience and went back to Azerbaijan. And then I finished my university in Azerbaijan, and I worked a little bit, but then I felt like I'm missing something. So I knew that I needed more education, more experience. So I came back again as a State Department scholar, and I did my master's in education policy and leadership at University of Texas, Arlington. And then close to the finishing of my degree, I met my husband, we got married, but then I had to go back to Azerbaijan to do the 2-year home residency requirement. So I worked for government for a couple of years. I worked in a big government task force team. We worked on education policy for Azerbaijan. And I returned back to the States almost 7 years ago, and I've been here since then, trying to finish my doctoral degree. I'm there, almost there. It's getting there, but I'm close to the finishing that journey. It hasn't been a smooth journey. It had ups and downs, but getting there. So it's not an easy task. So you are entering into a totally different world, and it's not just studying, but it's I always say it's not the volume of the work, it's that just mentally being ready for that. Because when you have a family, when you have full-time job and you want to get extra education, making sure that you know your stuff in education. It requires a lot of will, and it requires a lot of patience. I mean, it's the fifth year I'm in the program, so you might finish classes, but then you have to do the research. But besides the academic part, our lives, we have a lot of events that happen in our lives. Like 3 years ago, I lost my father. He was the biggest and the strongest figure in my life. So he was the person that would advise me what to do, where to go, what to say. And it's not like controlling, because he wasn't controlling. He was always supporting me. He was always giving me directions. So in the middle of the program that I was studying, I lost him and I felt totally lost. I said, what do I do now? So that was the biggest down in my life, not just in that program, but in my life. So it took a lot of courage. It took a lot of motivation and just self-talking that I have to get back. And I have to do this for him too, because that's what he always wanted me to see. So there are some happy days that you get accepted to conferences and you're like, yes, you work on it for a couple of years, but then you receive some great emails, and that's the up that you're like, okay, well, it's worth it. But then there are days that you're like, oh, I'm missing so much. I miss my friends. I miss, my kids are little, so they're growing up. I missed a lot of their growing up time. So I missed when my daughter said her first word and when she walked, because I was in school, I was studying. So it's definitely a challenging way. It's definitely a challenging process. But once you get it, once you complete it, I haven't completed yet, closer to the completion, but I can see that it's paying off. Education is paying off, and I'm doing that for the society. I'm doing it for the public, so that more kids will benefit from education, including my kids. So I think it's worth it. It's worth to suffer sometimes to see greater results at the end. When I'm here, I always miss Azerbaijan. And when I'm in Azerbaijan, I miss United States. And I feel like I have two homes, and I definitely feel like I have double identity, or dual identity. I would say dual identity. So I feel like I am, inside me, I'm Azerbaijani. Nothing will change me. I might become US citizen, and then I might speak good English, and my kids might grow up here, but I'm Azerbaijani. Then that will never change. I will never change. I mean, it will never change. The fact will never change that I'm Azerbaijani. Inside me, I cook Azerbaijani food. I speak Azerbaijani, and I act like Azerbaijani. Like, all the traditions, everything is kept in our house. But at the same time, it's impossible to live in the United States without blending in. So you have to blend in. You have to make sure that you mix both cultures. You present your own culture, your identity, but at the same time you adapt well. So, and you live in the States, you know that if you don't adapt, you will never find yourself in this society. So you have to sometimes do things that Americans do the way that they do, and you sometimes develop characteristics or personalities that you would probably never develop in Azerbaijan if I lived in Azerbaijan. So I feel like when I immigrated to United States, I felt like, oh, I might not change because I have always been this way. But then looking back, and you think, oh, there are things that your thinking changed, and you still keep your original thinking, but then you have developed new skills, new thinkings that you're like, okay, now, it's exactly like dual identity. You're in between two identities. And sometimes it's difficult, because sometimes there are situations that you just have to choose one and then go with it. But sometimes you can, you can blend two cultures, two identities. I feel like my kids are growing up differently. They have a different identity than I do. So it's a difficult question to answer. I feel like you have to be, it's a unique situation. And if you ask another Azerbaijani who was born in Azerbaijan and then later immigrated to United States, they might think that their identity has been changed or like they have become different person. But for me, I feel like I'm keeping them both inside me and I want to keep them. I don't want to let them go. Yes, I think it is important to blend in. I think it's, I mean, if you have chosen to move and live in a different country, then you have already accepted the fact that there will be something that you have to blend in. You have to blend in society. You have to understand that sometimes your beliefs, I mean, your beliefs, of course, don't change, but sometimes you have to be open minded about other people, other ideas, and you have to be able to accept other ideologies. Not necessarily like accept the fact that will you know you will change, but then being able to open and just listening to it. I think it's important. If you don't blend in, then there is no point of like moving to a different country and starting life, because when you think about it, if you move to a different country, you start from zero. It's like you're a baby, you're learning language, you're learning how to walk, how to cook, how to meet people. Everything is new. And if you still keep doing your way and the way that they do is not your way, then it's difficult. Then you're left outside and you're never, you feel lonely, you feel depressed, and you don't feel like you belong to that society. So I would say, like, let's say if someone is moving to a new country and they're thinking about like, oh, should I blend in, or I don't want to lose my identity, I want to keep this, I want to you can still do that, but you also have to let yourself open up a little bit to a different world so that you will see differences, similarities, and then it's your choice. No one is pushing you to choose the specific ideology that you're living in or like your surroundings live in. It's democratic society. You can choose the way you want to live, but being open and being considerate and respecting other ideas is important moving to a different country. And I think one of the biggest role is the language. So when you learn the language, when you learn the culture, you're able to understand your surroundings much better versus when you don't know it. So when you don't know the language, when you don't want to learn the language, or like you don't want to learn the culture, everything looks different in your eyes, and it can get pretty bad. It can get pretty negative. Like you might be stuck inside, under your shell, just not letting others come in and explore your. So as the societies they have something to offer to us, we also as individuals, we also have a lot to offer to others. So I would say offer whatever you have and just be flexible, be open, and blend in. I mentioned that I grew up in a very conservative family. So I was very, I mean, I didn't have any objection. I didn't oppose anything. And I was very happy about that. But I wish I had access to the resources and to opportunities that the kids now have or the others now have today. That would probably make a big difference. But if let's say when I grew up, we didn't have bigger libraries. I mean, we had a library, but we didn't have that big libraries, or we didn't have internet. We didn't have like the centers that would help you develop your language skills. So those are the skills that we developed over the years. But now they have so many opportunities, there are so many resources that people can benefit from that. I think I would advise someone, or if they're working with their children, to benefit, to find the ways to explore the world, like going to bigger libraries and benefiting from internet and meeting a lot of people, because I think my life started changing when I started meeting different people. So when you meet the same people over and over, and when I say the same, like the same culture, the same neighborhood, the same environment, you don't get exposed to different things around you. But when you meet different people, your life changes, the way you think change. And I think this is what parents or someone who is moving to a different country should consider doing, that like meeting different people and learning about them. And it has great value, great benefit to everyone, even to like people our age, even older age. You start understanding, you start getting answers to the why questions, like why, and then you're like, oh, because of this. You know, you start putting yourself into someone else's shoes, and that helps a lot. I think never giving up would be, I always, this is like my slogan, I always say that one should never give up. And you know, I talked about ups and downs in life. You know, you have to fail so many times to get to wherever you want to get. um, don't be scared of falling down. It's okay to sometimes lose. It's okay to fall down over and over and over. It's okay to learn from your mistakes. And it's okay to forgive yourself and give yourself time and just start everything over. Don't be scared to try new things. Sometimes new things turn to new opportunities. So if sometimes people get this wrong, because when you say like, oh, be risky, you know, risk taker, do things, and then they go do crazy things, and they're like, well, I took your advice, I did crazy things. But I guess like when I say learn to take a risk, means that don't give up on your dreams. If you have a dream, try it. It will never, I mean, if it doesn't work out, there is another opportunity. There is another opportunity. You just gotta keep trying. So keep trying, and then one day you will see that, oh, things just start happening. You're like, okay, well, there is no coincidence. Like you organize your life. So you have to put in education, there is an equation, production function. So whatever you put in education, as much as you put, or like as effective things as you put, that the best outcomes you get. So it's called education production, what you put in and what you get. It's exactly like life. Whatever you put in your life, that's going to be your outcome. So try hard, never give up, and it's okay to sometimes fail and to not get whatever you want, but eventually you will get there. And lastly, I would say there's an Azerbaijani proverb. I'm going to try to translate it. They say you have to throw your hook to the furthest distance, because it will still reach the lowest distance. So you just have to aim for I don't know how to say it in the right way, but like you have to shoot for the best, like go for the best, and then you will get the good one. Maybe not the good one, you will get the okay one, but try for the best. So someone that is trying their best, they will get something in their lives.